Welcome back to another video on Car Talks 100. Thank you to those that have subscribed, and a request to those that haven't to please go ahead and subscribe so I can go to new dealerships such as today, which is the Hyundai, and ask them to lend me a car so I can record a review for it and bring it so it can help you in either just watching a video or in your car buying process. This car was bound to be in the mix on the channel because it has its other two rivals, the Toyota Camry and the Honda Accord. So I wanted to find out, what is it that Hyundai now is offering? They've claimed to have gotten better over time. They are also claiming that the cars are cheaper in comparison to the other two Japanese rivals. So let's find out what they give you in the price point that these cars are coming under. This is an Ultimate Red. I do like how the car looks. Sonata offers a lot of different trim levels. Also, between hybrids and non-hybrids, this is a non-hybrid trim level. It's the N-Line, so the sporty offering. This is basically similar to its sibling, the K5 GT, which I have yet to feel, but this feels pretty decent of a car in terms of how Hyundai's quality has improved over time. You don't see as many 2016, 2015 used Sonatas running on the roads as much as you see the Toyota Camrys of that year or the Honda Accords. But if we compare what is happening in 2025, 24, in the last couple of years, I think you see these as much, if not more, than the other two. But that's something that you would have to test drive for yourself and find out which one you'd pick. But under the hood, for this one, we have actually, for all Sonatas, except the hybrid, you get a 2.5 liter engine. Under this one, you have a turbocharged 2.5 liter that produces 290 horsepower. All the other trims, including the hybrid, would produce 192 horsepower, which if you compare the limited hybrid trim for the Sonata at 192 horsepower, stickering in at somewhere around $36,800, is still the cheapest of the three cars when you compare that to Honda Touring, the hybrid, and the Toyota Camry XSE. To the front, you have a whole light bar running across. You can see where the indicator starts and stops as the hazards are running. Down below, you have your LED headlights sitting there, the projector LED, and then you have your cornering or fog lights there, and then you have some fake venting going on here. This is all open with the N-Line badging. The new H emblem here. Overall, the front, I think it looks nice, and this Ultimate Red looks good on this car, especially because this is more on the sporty side of the sedan. Off to the side, you have these N-Line alloys, 19-inch brushed aluminum. I do like how they look like they're in motion, but it looks nice. And instead of having a H on it, you have the N-Line N there. Off to the side, you have the N-Line badging, and I don't see this often in any car, really, having indicators on the side anymore, so this is kind of a cool feature. You do not have indicators in here, which I'm kind of bummed, but also not bummed because you have them here, which proves the point that in most of the cars, you have them in the mirror now, as opposed to old school on the sides. I like it. Overall, the side profile of the car is also pretty decent when it comes to how it looks. You do get panoramic sunroof on this particular car. Hyundai and Kia both are known for their curves and angles, so you could see that here. Coming around to the back, it looks good. You have this duck-looking decklit spoiler here. This is piano plastic, by the way. And then you have your LED lights running across, indicators on the body, and then your reverse light is on the trunk there. Sonata written out, and then the H emblem here, dropping down here. Exaggerated quad exhaust, so tips are a lot bigger, but the real exhaust sits inside there. You have fake diffuser going on, but overall, I think the back is good looking. Keep in mind, this is a non-hybrid trim level, so this obviously has exposed exhaust versus if you go with the limited trim level that is hybrid, you wouldn't have the same profile. This is just a bit aggressive in comparison to all the other trims. The car is not equipped with a 360. It only has a backup camera. Here is your release for the trunk. This should elevate itself, lift itself up. It's not power tailgate, which is totally fine. Frankly, for sedans, I don't understand why you would need a power lift gate anyways. Here's the grab handle for it. Trunk space, pretty similar to your Camry and to your Accord. The other thing is conventional here too. To put the seat backs down for the rear, you just pull these and go in. These, I believe, are added in terms of as an option. What I was told is Hyundai can give you a discount or so if you want to buy a spare tire off of Amazon or something, because the cars come with a fix-it-flat kit, but there is room for spare, so you wouldn't have to buy and store it in the trunk. You can store it under. They just don't give it to you. They just give you the fix-it-flat kit there. Keep in mind, your Toyota Camry comes standard with spare. Your Honda Accord does not come standard, does not have space for it either. So if you buy it off of Amazon, which you can, with a carrying case, you would have to stash it into your trunk. Now, as we go inside, pretty typical in terms of how it's been for very long now. Key in the pocket, hand behind the back for the front and for the driver and the passenger. The other ones you'd have to use the remote control. Here's the key fob. For the Hyundai, you have the Hyundai H. Your remote start is standard on all trim levels, be it the cheapest, the lowest, or the highest. Now going here inside, what's the first impression as you look at the interior? I think it looks nice. It seems like it's going to be good to touch, right? So as we look at the door panel, there's just a lot of business going up here, nothing down below, which is true. You have the bows in the end line. You have nice brushed aluminum looking kind of door handle. It's plastic, obviously. One touch up down for driver and passenger. Non-auto one touch for the rear too. No power folding. Got to go up to Genesis. This could have been bigger, I feel, but it's not. So you have 500 ml, could be slanted, but that's about it. Overall door panel is fine. There is scratchy plastic here. There is a cubby here, but anything you put in will rattle. The car has some wrapping around it, but I didn't take them off simply because they were generous enough to lend me the car, so I didn't want to mess with that. End line, which is why you see aluminum pedals, and that dead pedal is really big. You have suede and leatherette mixture going on, which I really like. You also have your power seats for the driver, manual seats for the passenger. But overall speaking, I think the seat quality and everything else looks pretty nice. As we get inside, it's been raining, snowing, so I'm gonna do this and then we'll go inside. It's also, I think, should be, it's my practice regardless. All right, getting inside the cabin feels nice, quite frankly. It feels good to touch. It feels good to be in here. And ever since they switched from H to these dots, you're not reminded that you're sitting or driving a Hyundai, I feel. Or maybe that was the idea, that when you're inside, you don't have to feel it. I don't know what it was, but off from left to right, soft to touch leatherette, I believe here. You have typical buttons here. Your parking brake is placed here, electronic, but placed here. Your trunk release, then your traction, your dimmer for your speedometer, and then turning the car on. This is, again, N-line, so it's non-hybrid. Engine sounds fine. There's nothing crazy about it. I'm going to turn the fan down a little bit. Steering wheel, as you can see, it's mostly round with semi-flatness going on at the bottom. I'm not understanding, but that's okay. I don't have to understand. You have stitching going on, which I kind of like. Overall, the feel of this is nice. The grip could have been thicker, but that's okay. You get the same in its class for pretty much all. Stocks, they do feel nice, like there is some nice damping. If you also notice here, this is so weird because you have a piano here, and then you have the mat here. So I don't know the philosophy behind that, but that's how it kind of feels off. This matches the piano behind, but this matches the stock or the column here. Overall, my impression of the dash, it's same as, let's say, your modern day car of today with all digital. I do like the graphics of it. You could switch between that, so your MMI is in the middle and then your dials are here. The car does not have 360, so if you indicate, there is nothing that comes up here. I think Genesis gives you that, but I do like the sound of this, if you can hear it. Overall, traditional, typical controls off to the side. The other thing, at first, could be a bit of a faff in terms of how the shift knob is, but eventually you'll get used to it, and you'll like how it is. So to go into drive, it's a hard up. To go into reverse, it's a hard down. To park, it is this button. To neutral, it's a little tap, one up, and then this is your park. Speaking of which, that brings me to the center console area. So let's start with the reverse camera as first. Trajectory, nothing else, no 360, but nice view out. Resolution is just fine, pretty comparable to everything else. Here, because this is an N-line, you do have your red strip running across. You also are able to kind of, it reminded me of this designing, but let me know if you see it. Lexus ES and the Camry kind of had this going on, but I like it. I'm just saying that it reminds me of that. The other thing too that you'll notice is there are some hard buttons, but then there is also some haptic. It doesn't really give you haptic feedback. It just makes this tone to be able to, register whether the fan speed went up or down. For your temperature, you have the physical dial. Down below, you also have your heated seats, 3 stages, which is good. And then you have your 2 USB-Cs and a 12-volt socket and a wireless charging pad, which I was told is standard on all trim levels, which is a good thing. And then the glove box actually is nicely damped, which look at that. That is really cool. So some of these things, over time, manufacturer, when they just, want to make things better and want to provide consumers something a bit better, these little things do make a difference. So I do appreciate Hyundai for giving some quality touches to the car. And then overall, in the center console, you have 2 driving modes. You have the sport and the normal. So if I hit that, you'd be able to see that here. You have the sport, and then you have the normal, and then I think you can do an individual, which is my drive. Auto hold for your parking brake, and then this button, I wish it had 360, but it doesn't. So this just brings up your backup camera. Key fob can go here if you wanted to, 2 cup holders. Your center console has no outlet or any of that sort. Seats itself, I really like the bolstering. So if you look at here, this is the end seating. So you can see that there is some suede going on and what have you. This is not Alcantara from what I know. Your N-line badging, which is nice, and then stitching overall. And then if you look at here, you can also see that it comes with these panel roofs, which opens up the cabin pretty nice, even though the interior itself is rather a dark color, but I do like that. I don't see a garage door open or anything like that standard. Your Accord doesn't give you that either, nor does your Toyota Camry S standard. I think it's dealer accessory. Other than that, you also don't have a heads-up display on the N-Line, which I think is fine. But for the price point, I think this car, at least how it is, it seems pretty decent. Now climbing out of the front, going into the back, as I close this off, I like the feeling of sitting inside of it. It looks good, or feels good. I personally didn't take anything off the floor because I'd rather have this than make the car dirty with that. So we'll get in the back, but you could see in the back too, similar door panel with some cubby here so you can maybe stash the phone. 1 bottle here, and then as you get into the back here, in this segment, folks, you pretty much will get the same legroom, headroom in the cars. I think Sonata has a tiny bit of less headroom compared to, let's say, the Camry or so. But overall, you have ample amount of legroom here, 5'9". No map pocket behind the driver. There is the airplane style pocket here behind the passenger. The other thing that you now get standard on all Accords for the 2025 model year, from LX all the way up to the Touring, you also get that in Camry now, is the rear vents. These are big cars, especially if you have, let's say, kids in the back, little ones, they would need, venting, and if you have adults, it would also help. So I'm gonna talk about that. There is no vents here. I wish I had seen that, but you do have 2 USB-Cs, which is nice. Other than that, it's a pretty standard comfy cabin. So like I said, the seats are not fully leather. There is suede, as you can see. Same exact pattern as the front. The other thing that I love about the back here is when I pull the cup holder down, it is the one that doesn't plop all the way down, which I really like. So you have your 2 cup holders here, but it stays raised, which kind of talks better quality in terms of how they do it versus how every other car in the segment has. No through loading, of course. Yep, no through loading. But overall, I think it's a nice spacious cabin. I wouldn't mind a long road trip in this car, especially in these seats. They feel comfortable. They have enough legroom, headroom, at least for someone like me that isn't super tall. But here is your overview from the back of the front. It's a nice, airy cabin. So my only zonk as I come out of it, zonk, that's Rady. But that is, I wish they had vents in the back. But overall, I think, and also your ISOFIX covers, because I've seen Sonatas as family sedans. So and the good thing about that is they don't come off; they just pull or push down, which means that you will never lose them. So if you want to put 2 seats or 2 kids in the back, you can, and then you could see the grab handles are on all 4 doors as well. Overall impression of the car, not bad at all. I think this is for those that are looking for cars in this segment. You should definitely be looking at these Hyundai Sonata. Also, let me show you the sticker for the N-Line front wheel drive. So here is the base 34,950 with any of the equipments that it has, which I think totals up to like maybe $400 in total, with destination of 1150. The car is 36,550 before any rebates, before any discounts, before any other bargain. And this is a spec sheet if you'd like to take a look at it. Like I said, this is the non-hybrid trim level. If you go for the top of the line hybrid trim level, which is limited, you're still under $37,000 MSRP. So closing this off, having driven and reviewing the Toyota Camry of 25, the XSE, having owned the 11th gen Honda Accord, and then recently also reviewing the 2025, and now recording the 2024-5 Hyundai Sonata. What is my opinion? What is my verdict, if you will? Should you look at this car? Should you buy this car? Should you avoid this car? I think you should. If you're looking in the mid-size segment, you should definitely shortlist this car and bring it in the mix, drive it, and feel, yes, driving would feel different from one car to another when it comes to how they feel, how the engines are. But Hyundai offers a good warranty and what have you, cheaper in pricing too. So if that's something that you are up for, might as well test drive this. That being said, I hope you folks liked what you saw. I'll catch you in another video. Please continue to subscribe. Thank you very much.